Lilith ruined my life. Hecate ruined my life. Well, did they really though? What you going on about? Did they? Thing is, when it comes to these darker deities, people gravitate toward them for one reason or another. It could be because of their ego, it could be because it seems cool or edgy, or it might be genuine. They're just genuinely drawn to them. But either way, these deities, they'll make or break you. And they are called dark for a reason. And it's not to say they're evil or malevolent. It's because they hold a mirror up to you and they will show you your shadow. But with that being the case, is it true? Is there a grain of salt in that? Will they ruin your life? Let's get into it. Hello, if you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. I'm Sarah, that divination witch. The channel is a witchy community and safe space. Feel free to ask questions, nothing silly here. And if you want to join the community, you just need to hit subscribe. If you want to support the channel further, I do offer readings. I've got a website, Etsy, all linked below. I've also got Patreon. And this year we're going through the Year of the Dark Goddess, which is about learning about all aspects of her and stepping into our power. So if you're interested, go check it out. Like I said, these darker deities tend to hold a mirror up to us, to our shadows, to our behaviours, both good and bad. And because they do this, they're known as dark mirrors. And that's because dark mirrors reflect the parts of us that we simply don't like or can't handle. Darker deities, they're not all demons, and even those who are called demons, they aren't really. It's a misconception as to what a demon even is. It's not like Abrahamic religion would have you think, but they don't take shortcuts, and it's quite a misconception that if you summon them, you get your wishes granted, that old trope. It doesn't really work like that. You don't start working with them and expect things to be handed to you on a plate. They don't take shortcuts like that. These deities, they're dark because they're transformative. They know the inner recesses of the human mind, and they know our behaviours. They know what we're capable of, again, both good and bad, and they bring this out of us. To truly work with a dark goddess or a dark god is to meet your own darkness, to meet your own shadow. And no matter how you do so, it will be done. Because you see, shadow work is not just some cutesy journaling exercise. It can be, but that's not all it is. You see, shadow work, I often say, is brought to you. And it is. Because when accepting these deities into your life, you'll be presented with uncomfortable and sometimes life-changing situations, and you'll be placed in scenarios that'll make you cringe or uncomfortable, and you'll be dealing with things you don't want to deal with, to be honest. And it's very emotionally taxing. It can be difficult, and trust me, I've been there. These scenarios tend to crop up time and again until you learn your lesson. And that's usually stuff to do with your boundaries or how you handle situations. I can give you an example myself that I went through. I've got several, but this is a tough one. So for me, I worked in a job for a decade. I used to work for a big energy company, which, ugh. But I did. I used to work for a big energy company. It was a thankless job in the end, but I worked my way up the corporate ladder to a somewhat comfortable position. It was good money. I was doing my thing. I would work long hours. I'd do a lot of overtime. And basically, I centered my whole blooming existence around that job. And the shitty reality of it is my dad got cancer. He's fine. It wasn't the end of things, but I needed to be there for him. I was the only one he had. And my asshole fucking gremlin manager that I had at the time, wouldn't accommodate me. And it was a case of, in that place, it was office politics. It was very much if your face fitted, There was people who used to sleep together, sleep their way up, bosses that were sleeping with the subordinates and things like this and having affairs left, right, centre. So if you weren't like that, you didn't get anywhere. So because of this, I went on sick leave because of the stress of it all. Because, my dad has fucking cancer. I needed to be there for him through the treatments, and you want me to work in a stressful job. And you're not accommodating and helping me here, Anyways, on the back of that, after 10 years of working there, long hours, doing overtime, revolving my bloody life around this place, what was the thanks that I got? I got a demotion. Demoted, right? And I got treated like absolute crap. I was put on a new section, basically front-facing job that I hadn't done for many years. People on the team that I had trained, a so-called manager who was pig ignorant, and when I met her in person, because it was COVID times, we'd spoke loads on Teams, and I remember she turned around and went, "Excuse me, who are you?" Like in that fucking voice, sorry. And this person, just to quickly say, is supposedly a yoga bloody namaste guru woman. Bullshit, she's horrible. Anyways, so I left because why should I put up with that, And Hecate guided me to a different job. I worked at a mental health place, and I actually really loved this job. I learned a lot about mental health. I got a counselling qualification. I was helping people in crisis. I was helping ex-veterans. I was helping people with various mental illnesses. And I loved it, to be honest. I loved it because I like to help people. But I couldn't stay there because after a year, it turned into office politics there as well. And there was these bitchy women who basically, because they were too busy gossiping and stuff like this, they let the ball drop and it was negligent, let's say, and somebody in crisis didn't get help. That's all I'll word it as. I don't want to trigger anyone. And I just couldn't ethically stay. Okay. I learned skills there that I'll never ever forget and are very useful, but I just couldn't stay there. From there, I took like 3 more office jobs, literally just because I needed money. I was doing this on the side, doing readings for people on the side, but I didn't have the confidence yet to just take the plunge. Money is a thing we all need, and it's scary. And each time I was in office jobs, I hated it. I couldn't put up with it anymore. I knew my self-worth. Now, the last job I took was actually for a big gambling company. And that really opened my eyes. The opposite end of the spectrum to the mental health thing. It just shows how corrupt this world is. They had so much money. They were just giving things away all the time. If you ever went to the premises, you got everything for free. Literally, like all your food, drink, everything. Ridiculous. And that just shows the way of the world. Anyways, I just couldn't stay there being micromanaged, and I quit when this so-called manager, who I'd never met in my life, was like, "You've took a 14-minute break." It was one of those places where they track you on the computer. And I was like, "You're ridiculous, you're dehumanizing, blah, blah, blah," and I quit. I finally found my self-worth. I found a backbone. I found that, no, I am worth more. And that was a cycle that kept repeating. I was putting up with too much crap. And in the practical side of things, I even had family members saying, "Gosh, you're having so much bad luck. What's going on? So much bad luck." And it was honestly some of the most stressful years of my life, money-wise. It really was. And I went through a lot I went through the pain barrier with it. A lot of worries, a lot of fears. But you know what? I never blamed Hecate. I never blamed my deities for it because I knew there was a lesson in it overall. And I didn't really know what the lesson was for the longest time, but I knew I would find out one day. And I did. And when I quit that job and I took the plunge with this, I'm not saying all my lessons stopped, but that particular thing did. And I've been okay, touch wood. But this is the thing. Other people, if you're faced with something similar, I'm not saying the exact same, but something really like bloody hell stressful, they'll run away and blame Hecate or Lilith or whoever. They'll blame these spirits, call them demons, say they fuck their life up and all this stuff and call them evil. But the problem actually lies within. It is not the deities, because if you flee from them, that's fine, do what you want, but life will give you lessons and eventually these things will crop up again. It doesn't mean, bad things won't happen to you if you don't worship them, like if you don't heal, if you don't put the work in, if you don't do the internal work, the external in your life will not improve. The dark goddesses seem to have a reputation for tough love. And I suppose I'm used to it now. But personally, I prefer that. I would rather someone told me the truth of a situation and that somebody didn't sugarcoat things and got me to deal with stuff. Someone who made me do the work to get my life in order, because I'd be stronger for it in the end. It doesn't mean that Hecate or Lilith or any other dark goddess is heartless. A soldier is trained to fight, aren't they? We may not all be soldiers, but we can't be the strongest version of ourselves without training and without experience. You wouldn't expect a surgeon to operate on you without the study behind them to do so. You wouldn't expect a mechanic to fix a car with no knowledge on how a car even works. And therefore, you shouldn't expect enlightenment without working through the darkness first. And that is that. The passion of me. So, there you go. Let me know what you think. Let me know, do you agree? Do you disagree? Whatever. Put it in the comments. Just be civil. That's all I ask. Let me know. If you made it this far, you may as well hit subscribe. And if you want to learn about Lilith or Hecate, I've got playlists of them on them both on the channel, so go check it out. And until next time, stay safe, stay witchy. Bye.